Ahead on 12 News, the impact of light rail on a Robbinsdale park. What has some residents concerned? Plus, a big building plan in Golden Valley, how it would change the 394 corridor. But first, the calm before a real estate storm.
I think after next weekend, it's going to explode.
12 News starts right now. Hello, and thanks for joining us. You might not realize it, but the spring real estate season is about to take off.
A strong year last year, plus low interest rates, as people optimistic about the season ahead. Reporter Shannon Slatton explains how sellers are getting ready now.
I said I'm going to buy a townhome.
In an industry where timing is everything.
I bought this property as an investment to rehab it.
Mark Abdel bought this Maple Grove townhome in the fall.
Made it shine a little bit and put it back on the market. The market's hot right now coming into the spring season.
In just 11 days, they've had 20 showings.
It'll go fast. That's what a lot of these people are looking for right now.
Fast-moving property like this could be an indicator of the real estate season ahead.
I think it's going to be a really big spring. I think 2016 is going to be bigger than last year.
And although it might be snowing outside,
in Minnesota, the unofficial rule is when the Super Bowl is over, the spring market begins.
Sellers feel the push to list now so they can be ready to move into another property when spring turns to summer.
There's a lot of activity. There's a lot of people that have been waiting, and they're ready to go. And I think after next weekend, it's going to explode.
Low interest rates and low housing inventory means houses could move quickly. So sellers and buyers should be ready to move on the right offer.
If you find that right house, pull the trigger. You're contingent upon inspection, and good luck to everybody.
If you are buying or selling a house, you should be ready to move quickly once you do get in the game. Have your home repaired, cleaned, and ready for showings once you do list it. And Mike and Alex, if you are buying, it's important you're pre-approved and also ready to make that offer. If you find something you like, it's probably not going to be there long.
Right. Got to go, right?
As the man said, good luck.
Yes, good luck.
All right,
Thanks,
thank you. Well, this week's winter storm not only stalled commutes, it delayed blood donations. Memorial Blood Centers has issued an urgent plea for donations. Local hospitals particularly need type O negative and O positive blood. To schedule a blood donation, visit mbc.org or call 1-888-GIVE-BLD. A popular Robbinsdale park will undergo some temporary changes if light rail gets approved.
Reporter Sonia Goins has more on what's planned for Sochacki Park.
Sochacki Park is known for its serenity.
It's just beautiful. It's quiet. It's just trees and sometimes deer, bunnies and squirrels.
But all the peace and quiet could temporarily go away.
It's going to be messy, it's going to be noisy, but it's got to be somewhere.
Construction crews will use part of the 40-acre park as a staging area for the Blue Line extension.
So here is Grimes Pond. The light rail would be just on the east side of the railroad tracks, and then they would be building the bridge as they come across the rails.
The orange markers on this map show the staging areas, one on the north and another on the south.
So there'd be construction trucks that would be coming back and forth into the park.
Light rail tracks would be on an elevated bridge over Grimes Pond.
There's hillsides on one side, there's water there.
Officials say there's no easy way to bring in construction equipment.
So it seems like the best way to stage the construction.
Come on, Bella.
Matthew Gray enjoys playing in the park with his dog. He doesn't think temporarily disrupting the park is a good idea.
It's going to completely change the whole area. The draw to this park is how quiet it is and how not city-like it is.
I think the light rail is a great idea. I'm a little disappointed that the park is going to be disrupted.
Allison Pearson is sad one of her favorite running spots will be temporarily changed, but she welcomes the project.
If it's temporary, that's great. It's worth it for the long-term gain.
Federal dollars will compensate the city for using the park as a staging area. City officials have a list of ideas for the money.
Would be an opportunity to replant a better quality forest for the future and a better quality prairie for the future.
In Robbinsdale, Sonia Goins, 12 News.
A public hearing will be held Tuesday evening at 7:30 at Robbinsdale City Hall to discuss the staging project at Sochacki Park.
The transit officials say ridership on the first regional bus service in the western suburbs will increase as word gets out among employers along the 494 corridor. The new service started running 2 weeks ago. It cuts commuting time because riders can travel between suburbs instead of going downtown to transfer. At a ribbon-cutting ceremony today, officials predicted the idea of quicker commutes will catch on.
When we get to nicer weather, and I think people will be more receptive to it. And the other thing is, once we hit road construction season and 494 going under construction, I think people will look for faster options to get to work as well.
The state legislature passed funding to try out the system for 2 years. It connects Plymouth, Maple Grove, Eden Prairie, and Sochacki.
A new report released this week shows a drop in crime in Golden Valley. The city had 515 Part 1 crimes, which include aggravated assaults, robberies, and burglaries. Those crimes dropped 15% in 2015. Residential burglaries fell 35%, which the police chief attributes to several key arrests. And here's an interesting tidbit from the report. The busiest day for Golden Valley police calls is on Thursdays. A plan for campaign finance reform in Minnesota seeks a vote on the November ballot.
House DFLers are pushing for a constitutional amendment to shed light on outside spending. Today, Representative Melissa Hortman of Brooklyn Park joined other DFL leaders in calling for the constitutional amendment. Their bill, the Minnesota Disclose Act, seeks to close a campaign finance loophole that currently exempts certain special interest groups from reporting spending on attack ads.
All over Minnesota.
If we were to put a constitutional amendment in front of the people of Minnesota and ask them, do you think you have a right to know who's paying for that garbage in your mailbox? I think Minnesotans would say yes. They want to know who's putting that stuff in their mailbox.
The former Representative Ryan Winkler of Golden Valley authored a bill last year to better disclose outside spending. That bill wasn't able to get Republican support.
One of the driving forces behind a local food shelf has died. Services are planned Saturday for Cal Monroe. Monroe volunteered at the Near Food Shelf in Crystal since 1989. He is credited with helping to obtain the building that the food shelf moved into several years ago. Instead of flowers, donations to the Near Food Shelf are requested. Services are Saturday at Redeemer Covenant Church in Brooklyn Park. Cal Monroe was 88 years old. Coming up, new construction plans for the I-394 corridor.
Then later in sports, the Wayzata boys hockey team is on a roll against some tough competition. We catch up with the Trojans.
But first, a chance for light snow on Friday, though nothing significant. We'll be right back. Two years from now, the Twin Cities will play host to the Super Bowl and the thousands of visitors that come with it.
And by that time, the Northwest Metro will have a brand new hotel where some of those travelers can stay. Well, Delane Cleveland joins us now with more on that. Delane?
Mike and Alex, there are 13 acres of vacant land near Highway 100 and I-394 where Golden Valley and St. Louis Park meet. That site will soon be home to a 126-room Marriott hotel. Officials from both cities are now taking the final steps to make that hotel a reality.
It's a great design and both cities are very supportive of it. They approved it last year in 2015. And so now the hotel developer is here to get their final design approved with the Planning Commission and City Council.
The plans call for a 6-story AC Marriott hotel. The hotel is part of a larger project on the site called Central Park West, which will include 2 residential buildings, 2 office towers, a parking ramp, and a public park. Construction is already underway on the first apartment complex. If the hotel design is approved, the groundbreaking could happen this summer.
But we have a lot of hotels in the area. We also have a lot of major employers on I-394. We have about 5,000 workers at General Mills. We have another few thousand at Allianz and other big companies. So there are a lot of people traveling for business to this location, and this hotel will be very business oriented.
The Golden Valley Planning Commission will discuss the hotel next week. Next, the city councils from Golden Valley and St. Louis Park will have to approve the designs. If developers break ground this summer, the hotel should be ready by 2017. Mike and Alex?
All right, Delane, thank you. Lots of changes along that stretch, isn't there?
Absolutely.
Well, coming up, we head to West Lutheran High School in Plymouth to meet this week's Standout student.
But first, a big day for Champlin Park at the Section 5 Nordic Ski Championships. John Jacobson has that and more when we come back.
cross-country skiers competing to see who gets to go up north in a couple of weeks, and they have plenty of snow.
Plenty of snow, and then more local skiers heading up to Biwabik next week. The state Nordic ski meet is just a week away now, and more local athletes qualified for state on Wednesday. Nearly a foot of fresh snow at Theodore Wirth Park for the Section 5 meet. Champlin Park's Deanna Globova of Champlin Park heading out here in the skate pursuit race after finishing third in the Classic. The girls' winner is Sadie Peterson of Mora, whose total time of 37 minutes, 17.5 seconds is nearly a minute and a half ahead of the runner-up. Globova finishes fourth in the pursuit on a big day for the Rebels team as they qualify for state. Jenna Hawk of Maple Grove is seventh overall. She and teammate Christina Bolser both qualify for state as individuals. Now to the boys' race where Champlin Park's Ian Ivins heads out third in the pursuit race. The boys' winner flying at the end, Xavier Mansfield of Spring Lake Park St. Anthony wins the skate race in just over 14 minutes. 30 minutes, 41 seconds is his combined time. Ivins of Champlin Park is third overall, a little under 2 minutes behind Mansfield. Champlin Park's Luke Crandall comes in seventh place with Drew Carlson 10th. The Rebels boys and girls teams both qualify for state for the first time ever. And here's what they had to say after the race.
Oh, we've been practicing so hard, every day, every weekend. We've been doing extra races, and I'm so happy that finally our team is getting up there. I'm so glad we made it to state as a team.
I went last year as an individual, and having all my friends and teammates up there with me is going to be awesome. I'm super excited.
In boys hockey, it looks like Wayzata is peaking at the right time. The 7th-ranked Trojans have won 5 games in a row heading into Thursday night, and the opponents have not been pushovers. The streak includes wins over Edina, Minnetonka, Grand Rapids, and Eden Prairie. 3 of those are top 10 teams. Things are clicking.
Oh, it's been great. You gotta love coming together as a team, just plugging away every day, just having fun out here every day, just loving hockey.
We got a good group of seniors that are really leading us right now, and we got some timely scoring, and our goaltender's playing well. So just plugging away and keep moving forward and in the grind of the schedule that we have, and just moving on to Thursday night's game.
The Trojans are 14-6-1 and have more tough tests ahead. After facing Edina Thursday night, they host Minnetonka Saturday and #1 Benilde St. Margaret's next Thursday. And those are the kind of games the Wayzata guys love.
When you play better teams, it kind of forces you to compete at a higher level, and that certainly helps when you play in the Lake Conference against all these good teams and going up to Grand Rapids. And even if they're not in our conference, they're still good teams.
Well, the Wayzata Benilde game live on Channel 12 and 12.tv Thursday, February 11th. Attention to detail is important in pretty much anything, including fishing. In this week's Channel 12 ice fishing tip, Terry Tuma talks about staying alert for bites on the lure.
There is so much emphasis today while ice fishing that feel the fish bite. Using the correct rod, spring bobbers, whatever it may be. And that's true. That's definitely part of that ingredient of catching fish. But as important is feeling what your lure is doing in that water column. How is it reacting in that water? As we talked earlier about the fall rate, these are all ingredients. And what really affects your feel of that lure is if you have coiling in your line, and that can be caused from old line. It can be too much memory in your line from the reel, not using it enough. And a great way to get that coiling out is, of course, catching a couple fish. That's going to stretch that coiling, or you can put it on something and sort of stretch it manually, if you will, and that'll also reduce the coiling. But what you're trying to do is feel what your lure is actually doing in that water column, and then, of course, bringing it up or dropping it down to where you're marking your fish on your Vexilar, and that's going to really help us in understanding how your lure does react and enticing those fish, if it's reluctant fish or if it's aggressive fish. And then to start working walleyes, for instance, 2 to 3 feet off the bottom. Start to work your bluegills, your crappies, way up off the bottom to see if you can draw them in, or maybe they're coming in at a higher level in that water column, and you'll be amazed at how many times you can catch fish. For instance, last season, I caught a lot of crappies 3 feet off the bottom. The bluegills were on the bottom, about 2 inches off the bottom in the same hole. So that's something else we have to address today.
Thanks, Terry. That's it for sports. Number 1 versus number 2 in girls basketball tonight, live on Channel 12. Hopkins and Sochacki. And then Friday night, Maple Grove Champlin Park boys. Another great game. So
Good games to tune into.
Good games of hoops.
Thanks a lot, John. Still ahead, a standout student who has traveled a long road from Canada.
Her unique story when we come back. 5 teachers from the Northwest Metro are in the running for Minnesota Teacher of the Year.
Candidates from our coverage area include 3 teachers from the Osseo School District. Music teacher Dennis Lukes, 5th grade teacher Kristen Pangra Anderson, and 4th grade teacher Lisa Wisty Shuddy. Special education teacher Christine Dorman represents Robbinsdale area schools, and 5th grade teacher Nathan Elliott is from Anoka Hennepin Schools. Finalists will be named this spring, and the winner will be announced on May 15th. Today's standout student will likely pick up a scholarship, but it's for something you probably don't think about every day.
Neil Persley introduces us to Renee Gonzalez of West Lutheran in this week's Standout Student.
They always strive and do the best they can to better me.
Renee Gonzalez speaks with much love about her grandparents.
They work really hard for me.
Because 3 years ago they agreed to let Renee come from Canada to live with them.
It meant someone cared, like someone wanted me, and I felt loved, you know?
Renee's mom and dad had split up and things weren't so good back home in Canada.
We'll come and get you, and it just was really warming and comforting.
She came to us as an international student from Canada, kind of scared and afraid in a new country and new experiences, but I think over the last 3 years she's just blossomed as a student.
I can talk to my teachers and I feel comfortable doing that.
Renee says the schools in the U.S. are a lot more challenging than in Canada.
I think her work ethic is definitely reflected in her grades.
Renee found her passion quite unexpectedly.
One day I was practicing basketball at the park by my school, and these people came up to me and were like, hey, do you want to come practice rugby with us down there? And I had no friends at the time, so I was like, sure.
Her play is so good that colleges with strong rugby programs are giving her a serious look. But college isn't the pinnacle of Renee's aspirations.
Well, my dream is to go to the Olympics. I've always wanted to.
Renee was invited to compete in the All-Americans and to try out for the Olympic Games in Canada.
After all those years of getting invited to these things and invited to try out for like Olympic Games and stuff, it's just like, wow, I guess I'm okay.
In Plymouth, Neil Persley, 12 News.
Renee said she would like to major in sports medicine and therapy, and right now she's looking seriously at the University of Victoria, but there are a couple of schools here in the States that interest her as well. And I would not think of her as a rugby player just looking at her. It's a tough sport.
Go for it, right? Apparently she's okay, as she said, right?
That's it for now. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
We'll see you back here again tomorrow starting at 4 o'clock.